The cold autumn rain was hitting the large windows of our Manhattan penthouse tonight. Sarah was standing in front of me wearing a long silk robe and looking very elegant. She had just returned from a secret welcome home party for another man. She smelled like expensive French wine and a perfume that I did not recognize. She looked at me with a small smile and said something that changed everything. "Leo, you have been acting like a very good husband lately. So I have decided to reward you for your patience and your hard work. I will stop being so hard on you about my friend Justin moving back to the city." I looked at her beautiful face, the face I used to dream about every single night. But now my heart felt like a solid block of ice in the middle of winter. I gently pushed her hand away from my shoulder and took a deep breath. My voice was calm and steady, almost a quiet whisper in the large room. "No thank you, Sarah, I do not want someone else's leftovers anymore. It is gross and I am finally finished with this game." Sarah's face turned white and she stared at me as if I was a crazy person. For 10 long years I never said the word no to her, not even once. I did not wait for her to get angry or to start another loud argument. I walked out to the balcony and looked at the glowing lights of New York City. I pulled out my old phone and dialed a private number I knew by heart. "Mrs. Miller, the job is finally done and the contract is finished. Please keep your promise and tell the lawyers I want a divorce from Sarah." There was a long and heavy silence on the other end of the phone. Then Sarah's mother spoke in a sharp and cold voice that felt like a knife. "Are you completely sure about this, Leo?" she asked with a warning. "If you leave this family now, you will walk away with absolutely nothing. No money, no house and no reputation. You will be homeless in this city. And you must understand that you can never see Ethan ever again." My hand shook a little but my eyes were steady as I looked at the rain. "I accept every single condition you have, Mrs. Miller," I told her firmly. "I just want to be free and I want my life back starting tonight." At that moment the heavy weight on my chest finally disappeared for good. Before we go on with this story, please hit the subscribe button for more. It really helps Leo find the strength to start his new life from zero. I went back into the bedroom and started packing my very few belongings. Under our huge and expensive wedding photo there was an old picture hidden. It was a photo of Sarah and Justin laughing together many years ago. And our son Ethan was calling Justin Dad in the messy caption on the back. That hidden picture felt like a sharp knife in my heart for 10 long years. 10 years ago I was a star student at the famous Juilliard School of Music. I was a violin prodigy and I was ready to travel to Vienna for my big debut. But my dear foster mother got very sick and needed a very expensive surgery. I needed $10 million fast to save the only person who ever loved me. Mrs. Miller found me and offered me a strange and dark deal. $10 million in exchange for marrying her broken daughter Sarah. Back then Sarah was a mess because Justin had dumped her for a rich heiress. I spent 10 years fixing her heart and building her confidence again. I walked her through the heavy rain in Central Park when she was crying. I ate cheap pizza with her in Brooklyn when the company was struggling. I took all her cruel insults and her cold silence because I made a promise. One rainy night I crashed my motorcycle while getting her late-night snacks. My right hand was badly injured, ending my career as a world-class performer. Back then Sarah cried on my shoulder and said she would love me forever. But the second Justin came back to New York I became trash to her again. I packed my old clothes and realized I did not own much in that big house. Just some old sheet music and my dusty violin that had not been played in years. Our son Ethan kicked the door open and looked at me with deep disgust. "What are you doing, you loser?" he asked with a loud and angry voice. "Are you trying to scare Mom by pretending to run away from home again?" I looked at the boy I had raised with love, but he had a cold heart. "Ethan, you should learn some manners from your favorite Uncle Justin." I said it quietly and I did not even look at his angry face. Ethan screamed like a spoiled brat and threw a book at the wall. "Justin is 100 times better than you because he is a real man. You are just a housemaid who knows how to cook and clean for us." My heart was so cold that his words did not even hurt me anymore. I grabbed my small bag and walked out of the penthouse into the night. The rain had stopped and the air smelled like wet pavement and freedom. I went back to the old foster home in Queens where I grew up. My foster mom held my hand and cried when she saw my tired face. "Leo, you have suffered so much for this family," she whispered to me. "I see you on the television standing behind Sarah like a quiet ghost. It breaks my heart to see you lose your light and your music." I smiled at her and wiped her tears with my injured hand. "Mom, do not worry because I am finally free from that cage." I gave her the very last of my personal money to fix the old roof. I swore I would never step into the Miller house for as long as I lived. The next day I went back one last time to get my passport and papers. I opened the door and saw Justin sitting at my favorite breakfast table. He was eating the meal I always made and Ethan was laughing next to him. Sarah was gently wiping the corner of Justin's mouth with a napkin. When she saw me standing in the doorway, she frowned with annoyance. "Leo, are you back so soon to beg for more money and a place to sleep?" I did not say a word and I walked directly into my small study. Justin shouted behind me, "Hey Leo, sorry but I am using your room now." Ethan said he missed the old times we had and he wanted me here. I walked into my secret room and saw my life's work on the floor. All my sheet music that took years of hard work was ripped to pieces. Ethan stood at the door laughing at the mess he had made. "I threw that trash away, Dad, do not be so dramatic about it." That was the final moment and my last bit of pity for them died. I took my passport and walked to the living room and dropped a paper. "Sarah, the signed divorce papers are right there on the table. Since you have found your true love, I am leaving this city forever." Sarah thought I was acting and she laughed as she took a pen. She signed the paper without even looking at the words or the cost. "Leo, without the Millers you cannot even afford a cheap burger. I will wait for the day you come crawling back to this house on your knees." I took the paper and walked away with a genuine smile on my face. I disappeared into the busy New York crowd and went to the airport. Right before my flight to Vienna, the old family butler called my phone. "Leo, Ethan got into a huge fight at school and the police are there. Sarah is in a board meeting and Justin will not pick up his phone. Please Leo, you have to come back and help the boy right now." I hung up the phone and I turned it off and threw the SIM card away. What happens to the Millers is absolutely none of my business now. Life in Vienna was very hard at first because I was alone and poor. My hand injury made playing the violin very difficult and painful. But I turned all that deep pain into a new kind of beautiful music. I played for coins on the streets and I lived in a tiny dark attic. And finally, after years of work, I won the International Composition Prize. The name Leo King was famous in the world of classical music once again. Meanwhile, back in New York things were going very bad for Sarah. It turns out Justin was not her white moonlight after all. He was a professional fraud with millions of dollars in gambling debt. He stole money from Sarah's company and brought other women to her home. He even insulted Ethan in front of her friends and made her cry. Sarah finally remembered Leo, the man who was always there for her. The man who made her hot soup every night and listened to her dreams. She spent millions of dollars trying to find me across the world. But she could not find a trace of the man she thought was a loser. She never realized that I was a world-class musician and a genius. She thought I was just a house husband who had no talent. Then one day she saw the international news on her computer screen. I was wearing a silver suit standing in the Grand Hall in Vienna. I looked elegant and powerful, and I was holding a golden trophy. I played my original song called The Return for the huge crowd. The music was full of my past pain and my beautiful rebirth. The entire audience stood up and cheered for several minutes. Sarah watched the screen and cried until her eyes were red. She finally realized she threw away a diamond for a piece of glass. She flew to Vienna immediately with Ethan to find me. They looked tired and messy when they finally found my private studio. I was teaching a little girl named Lily how to play the first notes. Lily was an orphan with a beautiful smile and a great talent. Ethan ran to me and hugged my legs, crying for my attention. "Dad, I am so sorry. Justin is a very bad guy and he hurt us. Please come home with us and we can be a real family again." I slowly moved his hands away from my legs and looked at him. "Ethan, you are a big boy now and you have to face the consequences. You are the one who told me I was not your father in that penthouse." Sarah stepped forward with her eyes full of tears and regret. "Leo, please, I will give you everything. I own the company and the money. You can run everything and we can just start over from the beginning." I looked at the woman who used to control every part of my life. The selfish light in her eyes was finally gone forever. I turned back to Lily and picked up my violin bow with a smile. "Sarah, the man you knew died 10 years ago in the New York rain. Now I only belong to my music and to this child who needs me." Sarah collapsed onto the cold floor and watched us in the sunlight. She finally understood that some hearts can never be warmed again. Some bridges, once they are burned, can never be rebuilt by any man. I held Lily's hand and walked toward the grand stage for my concert. The Vienna wind blew away the last shadows of my painful past. At 30 years old, I finally found my soul and my music. Thank you for listening to my journey today. Please remember to love yourself first before anyone else. Like and comment and share this story with someone who needs strength.